lovelies, it's Sarah Leonard here from acatlikecuriosity.com, and this is our monthly Q&A chat, curious chat video for the members of my curious community and the Curiously Gorgeous Sisterhood. This month I've got a couple of really good questions asked within the group, so I'm going to do my best to answer those just now. The first question, just let me bring it up on the screen, is from Heather, and she says, do you have any tips on helping myself spiritually to grow my businesses? Which is an awesome question. Inviting sort of spirituality into your business can sometimes be, I suppose, a bit of a tricky question as to whether to do it or not, because obviously what counts as spirituality for you, for someone else, could be something that puts them off. So whether you want to have spirituality be part of your business at all, and whether you want to have it there but have it be private as opposed to something you share with the world, is obviously a decision that you have to think about quite carefully. For me, I do have a lot of spiritual sort of practices that relate and link into my business, mostly around intention and goal setting. So ways that I think, to me, count as sort of spiritual things, ways that I use my spirituality to help me focus on my business, include things like using a business planner. I always, every year, get the Leonie Dawson business and life planners. And within those, there's quite a lot of sort of spiritual kind of elements, oracle card readings, and ceremonies for letting go of the previous year, that kind of thing. So those are the things that I use at the beginning of the year and refer to throughout the year. Other things I do spiritually to support my business include things like setting an altar for each month. You will probably see, if you're in my Curious Community Facebook group, in the file section there is a file with lots and lots of freebies in there, and I think I shared for free the July intention setting videos with the group there, so if you want to check those out, you'd be very welcome to do so. But basically I set up an altar each month with either a crystal that I'm focusing on for that month. At the moment I'm using crystals as my sort of starting point for each month's intention setting and each month's altar setting practice, or I would have a colour or a monthly theme in mind that relates to the moon phases, or something like that. It just depends. Last year I did the sort of the different moons each month. This year I'm focusing on crystals as my sort of jumping off point. And each month I'll build an altar based around that. Sometimes I'll include what I call a scroll of intention. So I'll write my sort of intentions and goals for that month down on the scroll. I'll roll that up, wrap it in ribbon that matches the colour of the month, and I'll put the scroll on the altar. Other times I have these little small intentions cards that I shared with my Curiously Gorgeous sisters each month with alongside their creative challenge, and I often use those and put those underneath the crystals on my altar to help me set an intention or focus on an intention for that month. But I think for me it's the kind of bringing in those kind of rituals that help me to make time and space to think about what is it that I want to achieve this month, what is it that I want to focus on. Those things do help me to stay focused throughout the month. They also feel quite indulgent, quite special. It's not, I mean, it's not the same as doing a tax return. You do a tax return because you know you have to do it and your business needs it, and if you don't do it, you'll get in trouble. You could argue that setting up an altar and intentions is a waste of time or something, but for me it's something that's special, that feels special to me, that feels like I'm setting aside time to do something nice, something good for me, something good for my business, and it doesn't feel like a chore at all. So for me, I find that really refreshing almost, to do something that's so selfish, I guess. in relation to my business. So that's one way that I use spiritual practices every month, really, to sort of set my intentions and things. Other things that I do, I have crystal grids around the house. I have one for creativity, one for abundance, and one for self-love, and they are just set up around the house. I also quite like to read up on different aspects of spiritual and personal growth to sort of help me, particularly in relation to my word of the year. So for example, this year my word of the year is love, and so I'm reading up a lot about love and self-compassion and all of those kind of things to sort of support me and keep me focused on that word, not just from a business sense but also from a personal sense as well. I think for me, adding in a bit of spirituality to your business sort of makes your business more you and less of a business, if that makes sense. Not to diminish the business sense in any way at all, but just to make it more human, more personal, and more special, I guess. So for me currently, that's how I use spirituality in terms of growing my business. So using those crystals, those herbs, the altars, the candles, all of those little ritualistic kind of things to help me focus on what I want to achieve each month, and to just help me keep it in mind more, and to make that goal setting idea more special, more personal, and more powerful for me. That's how I go through those. I hope that's given you a little bit of inspiration, Heather, as to how you might use spirituality to help grow your own business. The second question I had was from Liana. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And it says, how can I let my creativity flow without buying paint or anything that can be messy? Which is an interesting question. My mum has the exact same thing. She likes to do creative things, but she hates mess. Hates it, hates it, hates it. So she finds she wouldn't do any of the mixed media type of things that I do, because it would just drive her mad. Paint all over her hands, all of that stuff, which she would hate that. But there are lots and lots of things you can do creatively that actually don't involve making a huge amount of mess. I often quite enjoy just drawing, just using pencil and charcoal. So I have a 2B mechanical pencil, but I also have a whole range of other pencils in various bits. So that's a 2B as well, the one that I've just picked up there. But I do have lots of other ones that are a higher, so that one's a 4B, and various different sort of levels of those. And I have these pure graphite pencils as well that I use quite a lot, and that one's a 6B, and you get quite a large gradient even with just a small selection of different pencils at different sort of strength, as it were. You get quite a large collection, a large range of light and shadow and expressive mark making and things just from those small things, and those things aren't really messy. Yes, you will get graphite on your fingers, and yes, you will use your rubber to rub things out, but they're not massively messy, and they wouldn't be expensive to explore. I think that set, I have a set of these pencils, and I think they might have cost £6 maybe for the whole set. Not very expensive. I also, when I'm working with pencils, like to use these blending stumps, which are just rolled pieces of paper, which again aren't very expensive. Show you. I have in here an example of that kind of work that you can produce with those kinds of pencils, and you can see that it's still, I think it's still a really valid sort of creative process, and you can achieve some great results with just a small amount of resources. The other thing you can do, if you're wanting something a bit more colourful but still within the sort of range of not having lots and lots and lots of materials and not making lots and lots of mess, is you can actually use coloured pencils in a very similar way. So you can colour in sections of things, and you can use the blending stump to blend those colours out. So if you wanted to be less monochromatic but you still wanted to be quite mess free, quite fuss free, quite affordable, getting a good set of coloured pencils alongside your graphite pencils might be just the ticket for you. Other things, of course, I mean, you're asking about creativity, but not being messy whilst being creative. I mean, remember that awful lots of things actually are creative tasks. It doesn't have to be that you're creating artwork in order for it to count as creativity. So you could be card making. That's another thing that my mum enjoys doing, because it's not necessarily messy. You know, she likes the whole mat and layering and printing things out and cutting things out and all of that kind of stuff. It doesn't massively appeal to me, but she loves it and gets a lot of pleasure out of it. And it is something, like I say, that is not so messy to do. I'd hope that gives you a little bit of an idea of things you could have a look at doing, even if you're not especially wanting to do the big mixed media kind of messy art supply junkie type of thing that a lot of us do get into. It's very easy to become addicted to art supplies. I have plenty. I'm definitely living proof of that. So I hope those answers to your questions have given you some ideas, and hopefully they'll help you to get started thinking about how you can do those things yourselves. If you're watching this video on YouTube, I will post a link beneath the video for you to perhaps pop over and join my curious community on Facebook, and then you can maybe get involved in asking some questions next month. I do these Q&A sessions pretty much every month, and share the video in the group there, so you'd be more than welcome to come and join us. And like I say, I hope that you found something useful in today's video. Thanks so much.